Welcome back to another episode of Marketing 100, where we're giving you 100 ways to help you grow your salon business. And this episode is a special episode because we're here again with Stef Fox, who's the founder of Talent Match and Matchable. What are we talking about today, Stef?
We're going to talk about how do you keep your employees?
It's pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty important, I would say.
So how do you keep your employees, Stef?
If you've listened to the prior episodes, you probably know that I have a real love of data. What I'm going to share with you comes from two data sources, actually. One is from my workforce survey that I run every year, where we've got 123,000 hairdressers that have responded. And the other one is I'm currently in a doctorate program for organizational leadership. And what I'm studying is retention in the hospitality space, which includes hair salons. If we start with the workforce survey of what hairdressers actually tell us, first of all, ask them, should your boss be your friend? And 96% of them say, yes, they should. About the time I share that data with hair salon owners, they literally all cringe. And I have to qualify that it doesn't mean they want to have a beer with you or brunch on Sundays. It means that you feel like a friend and you give me professional feedback. I dig deeper in that survey and I'm like, well, what does friend mean exactly? And they tell us it means there's trust, there's respect, and there's communication. These are basic elements of a relationship, something every salon leader should and could be putting time into. That's how it shows up in the workforce survey. What does retention look like? On the doctorate level research that I'm conducting, it shows up in three ways. One is work-life balance. Mm-hmm. Two is culture. And three is leadership. I think all of us can probably say, yeah, we knew those things, but salons really struggle to come up with what do I do actually?
Yeah. And I think considering the core of our audience are, salon owners or spa owners, I'd love to hear your thoughts on leadership and the role it plays.
Let me take you back to a data point I shared in a prior episode, which is the top two reasons they pick us, right? So talent is coming to a salon because they want to grow. And secondly, I want flexibility. Those two things are actually in tension with each other. If I want to be a super high performer, I may not have extreme flexibility. I'm probably working when clients are in the highest need of me, which is going to limit my flexibility. So there's this tension there that is affirmed via the social algorithm to not exist for our workforce. They're on social media and everything they see tells them I should be able to work when I want, travel as much as I want, and make all the money I want. All those things should be possible for me. To the leadership side, you better be a damn good leader that can actually have a conversation with your employee without being defensive, but actually be able to lean in and discover, talk to me about your goals. What are you hoping to earn? Tell me per paycheck. All right, let's have a look at that. Let's make a plan. What's your ideal schedule? You're telling me you don't want to work Saturdays, but you want to earn X. Can I show you some examples of how that might be challenging? You absolutely have to be able to lean into those conversations and create some autonomy for them that they feel like they're making some of the decisions too, or they're not going to want to be led by you. That's the first place it has to start.
I think you touched on something really interesting there, which is boss babe mentality, the hustle culture kind of thing that we get from Instagram, where everyone is told that they can have everything they want and they can do it on their own. And all they have to do is just do it. Combating that as a leader can be kind of challenging, and combating that with compassion can be especially difficult, because I think a lot of salon owners feel like they put a lot into their stylists, into growing them, into educating them into being professionals, right? And to get that sort of well, I'm just going to do it on my own. I think a lot of salon owners feel a little bit betrayed by that, or a little bit taken advantage of in a lot of cases. I'm curious if you run into that or had conversations with salon owners that mention, I'm just burnt out, or I'm sick of putting all this energy or time in and getting this response. How do you see that? How do you approach that?
To answer the first part of that, do I see it all the time? Mm-hmm. It's a hard space. Leading is hard. And I would say with full love to any salon owner, and again, reminding you, I've been in your shoes. If you don't love leading people, which comes with all the messy middle of leading people, you should sell your business.
Wow.
Because it is a people business. We employ people who are connected to the people that pay us, aka the customer. And so every time you lean out from those conversations and building a relationship with your staff, you're actually leaning out from revenue, because that staff member will leave you when they feel that you don't understand them, you don't care about them, it's all about the numbers. As you touched on, Kayle, social media, right, is feeding that. It's also feeding them the story that your lack of understanding is toxic.
Mm.
And so then they get into their head that like, oh, it's just a toxic owner and like they're not for me. And that means this is wrong. And if you're a hairdresser, your first year, like, oh my gosh, you're getting your ass kicked all the time. Like clients are giving you bad feedback. Your boss or your educator is giving you feedback. You're getting redos. You're emotionally burning out. And the world of social media would tell you that means it's not right. And then you want to quit. And this is where the leadership piece comes in. Like you have to have compassion for people or get rid of your business because it will fail.
Or is there an option also where it's get rid of that team member? You should give compassion and you need to listen. But at some point it might come to like, actually,
this is a bad fit.
We probably should part ways.
Yeah.
Yes. If your team member does not align with the values you've identified for your business, they can't work for you. What I am never a fan of, and I saw businesses do this after 2020 and it backfired, was like, give them everything they ask for. That doesn't work. Like it doesn't work to say, sure, take all your unpaid like vacation, be fully flexible, like do whatever you want, make your own schedule. Like that doesn't work. Now we see those salons that did that losing staff like 5 years later because it wasn't still enough. It's rooted in that relationship that exists. One of my like hard things in my business was like, you cannot be late because you're serving a paying client. My team had to be there 30 minutes before their shift. They had very specific things they had to do to show up and be prepared to have a great experience with guests. Late for us was like, you're over the 30-minute mark and you're late. And I'm going to have a conversation with you about that the first time it happens because I'm a strong leader. And also it's not new information. You learned about this in your interview. You learned about this in your onboarding. And I'm going to do it with compassion, right? I'm going to check in first and be like, hey, I noticed you're late. What's going on? What happened? And I'm going to let them tell me. And I'm going to say, just want to remind you, like, it's really important we're here on time. Is there something I can do to make sure, like, you're able to be on time, right? We're going to navigate that. If it happens again, we're going to have another conversation. And I may send them home for the day, straight up. And if that isn't working because they're against the values of the business, absolutely you have to part ways. But strong leaders step into those conversations. They don't like just get in their head and get mad and be annoyed. And we've all been there. And in fact, if you're there, like if that happens and you feel that trigger, your skill set should be strong enough that you go, whoa, not the time for the conversation.
Yeah.
Like I need to have this later.
I think that's a really important point. Like you need to be compassionate, but you also need to be like clear on like what are the guardrails. And this also starts with recruitment, being like very clear on what they will actually get here, like talking straight to them. And I think that just helps people all the way from like getting the right people in through to also like understanding what's expected and can actually help people to grow as well, right, in their roles.
I think we've done a huge disservice to the workforce by posting job descriptions that say things like now hiring experienced hairdresser, amazing team, the best education, benefits. Like we list all these very generic things. What you haven't told me is anything about why I should pick the job you have for me to be a hairdresser versus the salon down the street. So like if we get better to your point of like recruiting people with a story, it's a very easy yes, or it's a really clear no.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have to coach somebody, they're already on board with you. Like they picked you because of how you lead, or they picked you because of the business values and the way you grow people.
Yeah, that differentiation, it applies to marketing just as much as it does recruitment, right? Like it's a skill that I think a lot of business owners don't really focus on as much as they should. There's sort of this like old school mentality, again, like we talk about salons sort of being like, we're a salon and we do salon services and we're professionals and we're Sassoon trained. And that's why people will come to us because we're local and we do this and it's cute here or like whatever. Instead of like really understanding, hey, I need to differentiate my business in a way that tells clients or potential stylists exactly what it is about our business that makes us unique and why they should be here instead of down the street.
Yeah, if you want a career hairdresser to join your team, you have to have a compelling reason.
What else do we have as a tool in this toolbox to get our team to stay with us for longer?
You have to manage your culture. And that's kind of a no-brainer, but you cannot let things get out of hand. You can't let the bad employees stay. You can't let gossip happen in the back room. You can't not love people and create compassion and space for them, which is back to my like very strong statement of like, if you don't love the people side of it, you got to go. And I would say the third thing back to that data is like, you have to create a space for that flexibility. They call it work-life balance. That is today's employee. Like they value their life in a way that's bigger than just their career. So you cannot be rigid. I always invite salon owners when I'm working with them who feel like there's no way to do that. I'm like, but what if there was? Like, let's just brainstorm that out. You don't have to solve it right now, but let's just think big. Because you have to. Because things move too fast. And if you resist, I call it like digging your heels in or like sticking your head in the sand. Like, that's a quick way to lose.
All right, everybody, that's what we've got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Marketing 100. I want to extend a huge thank you to Stef Fox for joining us. Where can our audience learn more about you?
They can head over first to my Instagram and give me a follow there. That is Stef with an F_Fox. And then my websites for both my brands. So talentmatch.biz for education and consulting and mymatchable.com for finding hairdressers.
For all of you watching or listening at home, if you're listening to this, you're missing out because everyone on the screen right now is super cute and you should be seeing it. So if you want to see us, check us out on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube and you like what you see, get subscribed. It's that little button down below. As always, we've got our link to the top salon and spa software, our pick for 2025. If you want to try that out for free for 30 days, you can check out Mangomint down in the description below. You get a little bit of extra time on us, but keep that to yourself. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Marketing 100. I'm Kayle, your salon and spa business bestie, and I'll see you in the next one.